We have a quorum, therefore I'd like to call this meeting to order. Good afternoon. Today is Tuesday, September 9th, 2025, and this is the regular meeting of the El Paso County Historical Commission. The time is now 4:07 p.m. Could everyone rise, please, for the pledges of allegiance? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible. Thank you so much, everyone. All right. Okay, if you could please call attendance.
Yes. Commissioner McKenzie. Present.
Prince, she's talking.
We're going to do the roll call, sir.
Oh, we're not going alphabetically.
We're going to call
we sleep till we're alphabetically.
I'm here.
Thank you, sir. Commissioner Hamilton.
Present.
Commissioner Kidney.
Present.
Commissioner Welch.
Here.
Commissioner McDonald.
Here.
Commissioner Cana.
Present.
Commissioners Chaparro, Commissioners Bear, and Commissioners Condon are absent.
Okay, thank you. Is anyone signed up for public comment? No?
Nobody.
Okay, great.
Oh, I didn't get that.
All right, well, that now takes us to the consent agenda, which consists of, let's see here, items 5A through C. First of all, does anyone want one of these pulled for further discussion? No? If no, is there a motion to approve?
So move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner McDonald, second by Commissioner McKenzie.
Mm-hmm.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Awesome, thank you all. Okay, that brings us on to the regular agenda, and we will begin with receive a presentation by Dr. Yolanda Chavez-Leyva, Associate Professor at UTEP, on the Day of the Dead as a rich historical tradition integrating indigenous heritage, cultural practices, and rituals of remembrance. And thank you so much.
Thank you very much, Commissioners. I am very happy to be here to talk about the Day of the Dead and Dia de los Muertos. Can we go to the first slide?
Oops. Yes, sorry.
Would you like us to dim the lights a little bit, or is this okay?
I think dimming them would be nice.
Cool.
Yes.
Thank you. Much better. Thank you.
I think there.
Perfect, thanks.
So one reason that I'm presenting this to you today in September instead of November is because the original Day of the Dead pre-contact with Europeans and pre-contact with Catholicism was actually 2 months honoring the dead, and it was in August and September. So we are actually in the time period of the 2 months of the dead, I should say. Next. So this commemoration of our ancestors goes back thousands of years in Mexico. Next. In 2003, UNESCO, the United Nations Education, Scientific, and Cultural Organization, named it part of the intangible heritage of humanity, pointing to the importance of this indigenous celebration that's become so very popular in the United States. Next. You might remember in 2013, the Disney Corporation tried to copyright the phrase El Día de los Muertos. That didn't work. it didn't work, and it brought up a lot of protests. So they dropped trying to do that. And some of you may be familiar with this cartoonist Lalo Alcaraz, who did this cartoon back then, Muerto Mouse, it's coming to trademark your cultura. But a few years later, next, please, Pixar, which is also part of Disney, released the film Coco. Did any of you see that film by chance?
Yeah.
So, and Alcaraz, who was the cartoonist from the previous slide, was a consultant for this movie. And this movie was extremely popular, and it really resonated culturally with people of Mexican origin. Next.
I'm just gonna, real quick, just to this day, he's still a wonderful satirist. So,
Yeah.
he's amazing. Everybody should follow him.
He is. So as I mentioned a second ago, the Day of the Dead is gaining lots of popularity in the United States, not just the Southwest, but all over the United States. And when I saw that this was happening years ago, I wondered why is it so popular? Next. Is it just a Mexican Halloween? It's in the same time period. Next. It's not a Mexican Halloween. I used to take my students to central Mexico, to indigenous villages, and this was 20 years ago. Dr. Renteria went a couple of times. One of the villages that we went to was really struggling because the children in the village were celebrating Halloween. So they banned any Halloween decorations in the village because they didn't want the children to grow up thinking that El Dia de los Muertos was just another Halloween. Let's go ahead and skip this one. Well, I think that this celebration is gaining popularity because more and more people want to know about their ancestors. And I'm speaking to historical commissioners. So I know that you know that history is very important to us, and how powerful it is, and how it grounds us and roots us. So I'm going to tell you a quick little story. This search for our ancestors is very old. The Mexica or Aztec leader of the Suma, not the one we know, that's earlier, Iwicamina, wanted to know what happened to their ancestors. They had migrated for 200 years from Aztlán to what is now Mexico City. They wanted to know what happened to our ancestors, what happened to our mother. So he sent 60 wise men to go look for her. And it was very far away. They turned into birds and jaguars so that they could get there quickly. And when they got to the mountain of their origin, they were greeted by an older man, and he said, "What do you want?" And they said, "We want to see our mother. We want to reconnect with our ancestors." And the man said, "Well, let me go talk to her." And he went up the mountain and talked to her. And that's when they noticed that she was sitting at the top of the mountain, and her hair was just uncombed. She was filthy. Her clothes were ragged. And she had been crying since they had left 200 years earlier. She kept saying, "What happened to my children? Why have they never come to see me again?" So the older man said, "Okay, you can come up the mountain and greet your ancestor mother." And they had a hard time going up the mountain. And she said, this is the part about, "Do you know why you can't climb the mountain? You've been eating too much chocolate." You got fat and lazy. And this is in the 1460s. So, but they made it and made that reconnection. So this desire to know where we come from, who are our ancestors, I think is very deep in humanity. Okay, next. And genealogy is the second most popular hobby in the United States after gardening. And we know that there are more and more DNA companies and genealogy websites as well. So that's part of that seeking our ancestors. Next. So part of thinking about our ancestors is what is our relationship to those who have gone before us, and how do we remember our dead? In Mesoamerican philosophy, life and death are always connected. You can't have one without the other. And we're talking about a philosophy that grows out of an understanding of nature and an understanding of agriculture. So you know that you plant a seed, it grows into corn. The corn dies and you keep some of those seeds to replant it. So life and death are always connected. And this is a very well-known image from one of the ancient books. And on the right side is Quetzalcoatl, who has the beak of a bird, and he's the breath of life. And on the left side, you have Micantecutli, our lord of the underworld, and he represents death. But if you look on the right side where you have life, he has a piece of a skeleton, very visible, right under his waist. So that tells you that there's always death within life. If you look on the left side at death, and it may not be so visible, but right under his waist is the symbol for a heart, for life. So there's life and death in life. And just some more images. Let me point out the one on the left, which is from the Borgia Codex. And you see one of the trees of life growing out of a skeleton. So it's always life and death. Next. And here's an image from another one of the codices. So again, you have our Lord of Death on the right, and you can see better the symbol for heart. And that thing that looks kind of like a rope represents an umbilical cord. So it could be that he's welcoming this baby into the world and saying, you're just beginning to live, but you're tied to death. You will eventually die. I showed this once to a group of high school students that they asked me, so does this mean that we begin to die as soon as we're born? And I said, yeah. That totally freaked them out. But you know, life and death intertwined always. Next. So let me get to these 2 months of celebrating our ancestors. In the Aztec calendar, months were 20 days long. So there were 18 months of 20 days plus 5.25 days of self-reflection. So it's considered one of the most accurate calendars in the world. It doesn't have a leap year. Every year even begins at a different time of the day. So it's a very accurate calendar. And every 20-day month started with a celebration. Okay, next. You can skip this. So end of July, beginning of August, we had what was called the Small Feast of the Dead, which when the Catholic Church came in and wanted to appeal to the indigenous people and say, convert to Catholicism, that 20-day month of celebrating the babies and the children became one day. So November 1st, El Día de los Angelitos, the Day of the Little Angels. And it was celebrated, on the left you'll see one of the representations of celebration. It's celebrated by dance, using flowers. The things that today we put on the altar to represent the children and our families who have died, candies and toys, is what they used during this feast of, small feast of the dead. So that was July into August. Okay, next. And the two people And people think of them as deities or gods, and they're not really. They represent processes, they represent nature in many ways. These are the two processes, I guess, since I just said that. Huitzilopochtli, who was a warrior for his mother, and so she Quetzali, who represented beauty and poetry and flowers. So they were honored during the feast for the babies. Okay, next. So the next month, which was August, and sometimes they went into this part of the year, September, it's called the Great Feast of the Dead, or the Fruit Falls. So these are really harvest festivals. So thinking about the dead, you think about we die and we have come to the end of our life, and we're like a piece of fruit that has come to the end of its life and it falls to the ground. That's what it represents. And again, there was celebration, dancing around the tree. Next. And that second month of El Dia de los Muertos honored the energy of the sun that brings us life. So I want to show you some of the traces of the ancient that we see today. If you look at Day of the Dead celebrations, and the city of El Paso has them, different organizations in El Paso have them. So here is one kind of pan de muerto, the bread of the dead. So pre-European contact, there wasn't wheat here, but they still had bread, and it was made of things like amaranth seeds. And El Paso is full of amaranth. I go into my yard and I pick it and I eat it. And people think of it like, oh, these weeds. And I'm like, amaranth is growing. So if you see on the right in the basket, there's bread made of amaranth flour. So that carries on from the ancient. Next. On the left is a censer to burn incense, and it has a skull on it. If you ever go to any of the museums in Mexico City, you're going to see lots of representations of skulls. And it was not scary. It was acknowledging that we're all going there. So there was no sugar prior to European contact. So what you see is these ancient forms changing, not what they mean, but changing what they're made of after the Europeans come and bring wheat and bring sugar. So the famous sugar skulls of the Day of the Dead. And then the marigold, the cempasúchil. You see it over here on the left as part of the celebration. There were always those big marigolds with so many petals. Cempasúchil means 20 flower, but 20 meant there's so many we can't count it. It didn't really mean 20. Yeah. So it's telling you that that's a flower with so many petals in it, and it's part of this commemoration of the dead because it represents the sun, because of its roundness and its color, because it smells really beautiful. So people said that beautiful fragrance is going to reach our ancestors, and you still see it today. And then you might have seen in the Day of the Dead papel picado in many different decorations. That too is a trace of the ancient. So there was not this kind of paper back then, but there was amate paper that you might have seen if you went to the Mercado in Juarez. It's made of the bark of a fig tree. So on some of those illustrations, you could see banners on top of the trees. So the papel picados also carry forward. Yes.
Could you go back one slide? There's a piece of iconology there that on the left side that there is something coming out with the two blue stripes on it, or three blue stripes on it. What is that?
So that bundle is a person who has died.
The reason I ask is that looks like a tallis, looks like a Jewish prayer tallis.
Oh, it does, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it looks like.
Yeah. So what that is what I was talking about a second ago about using the amate to make banners to commemorate people. So those are actually two paper banners or flags. Maybe flag is a better word for it.
Okay.
I don't know anyone who has actually done this many layers, but the traditional altar is supposed to have 9 layers. And the 9 layers is also carryover from the very ancient. If you look on the right, and you can't tell so much, but there's 9 steps on the right, which are the steps you go through after you die. And it's not going to hell. The underworld is not hell. It is a neutral place, and it can also represent our reflecting internally to see who we really are. So there were 9 steps to that, and 9 levels of the altar representing that. Ancient Mexicans were very amazing writers, very amazing poets, and because the Spanish came and burned literally thousands of books, and there are very few books left, sometimes we think, well, they were not a people who wrote, but they were. So we have this collection of ancient Mexica or Aztec poetry, and they thought very philosophically about death. One day we must go, one night we will descend into the region of mystery. Here we only come to know ourselves. Only in passing are we here on earth. So it's a very different relationship to death. It's not one of fear, it's one of acknowledgement, acceptance, and knowing that to know ourselves, we have to remember our ancestors. Do you have any questions, comments?
It's fascinating. I mean, that it really does put a different, well, even with Halloween, it's, I have many Wiccan friends, and it's totally become something even there that it wasn't traditionally and is being, having a rebirth of its own as the ancestors within that tradition are being sought out and, looking at what it was, what it meant. Because, Catholicism, syncretism, they do it, everywhere.
Yeah.
And I think that's fascinating. I when you're talking about, basically you have these bonded, I'm going to call them goddesses, but the one of beauty, they could be male, whatever.
Yeah.
I'm more familiar with African religion. That was my study. So like this is a Veve for Urzuli Dantor. But within that you have Urzuli Frida, who's beauty, and Urzuli Dantor, who's the warlike woman. And so you have that same, I didn't know that. So I see that same kind of looking at the duality. And so for me, just that one slide is going to make me start looking further because it's just amazing.
Yeah, and you're so right about Halloween. Halloween got commercialized. It's not but it was when Irish immigrants first brought it. It's the same thing.
Yeah, syncretism. A lot of my study was within that, how the Catholic Church basically co-opts everything.
Yeah.
So, and they do syncretic. This this was somebody who was important to you, and now, so this one is Ursula Dantor, but in Catholicism it's St. Barbara. My name's Barbara. So, but that's what they did. They co-opted the whole shebang.
Yeah.
So, but very cool. I'm sorry, I'm just so fascinated, but any questions, y'all? No questions?
Commissioner McDonald, you look like you have a question.
I do. It's more anthropological than it is.
That's cool. I love anthropology.
I graduated from UTEP in 1998 as in the history program. So I saw you running around when you were
Younger.
As were we all.
I'm a student of Pueblo Indian, so it seems to me like there's a really strong connection between Opigachina and the Aztec Day of the Dead and the deities or spirits that both have, which Hopi, their Kachina dances are paying tribute to their ancestors and their ancestors to provide them with life-nourishing rain. So that was an interesting juxtaposition.
Yeah, sure.
I think there's just so many connections across cultures.
I think that's what we find as, for those that are interested in, that aspect. I mean, to me, that search for ancestors or whatever is, it's humanity. I mean, everybody does that. And so, it had to start, to be human is to do that. So of course, the more we look into it, the more we're going to see those relationships.
That's true.
My dad does it, so I don't have to.
Okay, anyone else? No?
No, I don't have any questions. Staff?
Yeah. Thank you very much. I'm so glad to have a copy of it that I can refer back to. And I'm also really glad that you said the names, because I know I butcher them when I'm trying to say them. Oh gosh, all the time. And so at least I have a better sense on some of them, and I'll do my best to not in the future. So awesome. Thank you so much for the presentation and for letting us have it so we can refer back to it. I like I said, I'm just in awe. That's so totally cool.
Me too. I really appreciate doing it in September.
Well, September makes sense because, I don't know about everybody, but that's when all of my marigolds come. September, they're just whoosh, and so I've always kind of wondered about that because by November, I dry them to actually put on my altars and I make like long strings of them, but the vibrant part of them, by November is
The flowers remember their ancestors.
Huh?
Maybe the flowers remember their ancestry too, and that's why they bloom in September.
That's very possible. Very possible. Nature is, nature is the reflection of all of that came before. So. Awesome.
Well, I'm going to excuse myself.
Absolutely.
I have a Nahuatl class.
I know. I always want to go, but it's just, this is the worst day for me. I'll just leave it at that. So, but one day I'm going to drop in, so I won't butcher the language even more than I already do.
Yes, here I'm studying. I feel like I look at my nose, my ears. I'm learning that, but I know the ceremonial stuff. It's great anyway.
Cool.
Thank you for inviting me.
Thank you. Okay, well, that was so awesome, Dr. Lewis.
We appreciate your work.
Thank you.
Okay, everyone. Well, that was discussion only. No action taken. So our next one, I don't know if you're going to do it since.
Yeah, we may need to table it.
Yeah, because I mean, I don't have any information on it.
Mark's out of town. He's in Colorado.
So I am going to request that we table regular agenda, item number B, since Commissioner Howe is not here today. So,
Can we have a second?
bye.
Second.
Okay, so motion by Commissioner Welch, second by Commissioner Kanoff to table agenda item 6B to the October meeting. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Okay, now that takes us to agenda item C. Discuss and take appropriate action regarding El Paso County's participation in the commemoration of the 250th anniversary of the signing of the Declaration of Independence, America 250. And I was really hoping that Commissioner Chaparro was going to be here today, because I know that in his recap that they talked about it. So I'm going to suggest that we all work on that. But from my point of view, and having read the minutes from that meeting, I'd like to suggest, and we'll reach out to Commissioner Chaparro. And it's not just one project. I mean, come on, this is, the 250th. We can go in a lot of different directions. I'm going to suggest for something that I'm going to reach out to him for, and that I think would be appropriate, is to either reach out to the Socorro Independent School District or the San Luis School District. And I've thought about it between doing either an art project in commemoration or an essay project. I actually think that an art project, especially if we go SISD, because they have, a lot of arts on campus. And of course, this is with their buy-in from that committee. But I think that we could, obviously we would have to tailor it, and we would have to have a question that this art represents. And it could be, what does the Declaration of Independence mean to you? It could mean, what does freedom, making it broader, mean to you, that could bring in, other ideas. I think it would be very easy. I know it would be very easy to get, we have amazing local artists as judges. And I think what we could do, I don't know if we could come up with an honorarium for the winner or whatever. That's something that I've done at NMSU, but, and have the first, second, third, whatever. And then, we could probably arrange to have them displayed here. We could do some media, maybe one of the, newspapers would run an article with the pictures and interviews with the students. And to me, one, we would be celebrating something that's made us all what we are today. Love it or hate it where we are right now, that history is us. And we have even broader history because we have 400 years here. But all of that has defined us. So that could come in if we decide the topic is, what does freedom mean to you? Or what does El Paso mean? Again, we don't have to define that now, although we probably have to do it soon. But again, I just think we'll come up with some amazing artistry, both in aesthetics, but also in the thought, the ideas of what this means to them. Some of the art might be bad, but what they're going for is really intriguing. And some of the art might be fantastic, but very, pro forma. And some stuff will have both. So that's my suggestion that I'd like to go forward with. And obviously that just, means bringing in like the Mission Trail Committee and everything like that, which I'll reach out to him and see what we can talk about. And if they have any other ideas, because it was really kind of very general. And then if you all have any ideas, like I said, it doesn't have to be one thing. It can be many, if we have a whole year, it could be many different events. It could be different focuses. Anyway, I know that's one of those linguistic things that kind of can throw you. Foci, how's that? But anyway, does anybody have any input?
Yes. Professor Leon Blevins retired from the El Paso Community College, left El Paso, and he had published at his own expense hundreds, maybe thousands of copies of the Texas Declaration, the U.S. Declaration, and the Constitution. And so when he left El Paso, our museum took them for safekeeping, the ones that he had not already distributed to teachers within the district, within the county. And so then I conveyed them to the Daughters of the Republic of Texas, and they have now distributed them to their member chapters all over the state. And so I think two things that we could do is maybe enact a resolution to credit Professor Blevins with the printing of these, and then the Texas Women's Daughters of the Republic of Texas for distributing them.
Okay, we can talk about that further. I mean, that's something that we can, we can discuss.
Sure.
So, cool, I did not know that.
To your point about the art project, Commissioner, I wanted to let you know, and you may already know this, you may already know this, the Los Portales Museum has in the past, and I believe they will still do this, for the beginning of the year, I think it's like the first quarter of the year, they partner with the San Elizario SISD, and they do an art project, and then they display it in the front gallery at Los Portales. And sometimes they have like the community vote on it, and then they offer the students a prize. We can approach the museum.
We can piggyback on that.
Yeah, we can maybe say for this next year, can you do this theme?
Yeah, that would be great. That would be great.
And so we can still bring it to Commissioner Chaparro and the Mission Trail.
Well, yeah, we want them to be involved also. I mean, I think that I really think that the more entities that we can get involved, especially that community involvement, it just makes it stronger. So, I mean, and maybe we could do something with a community vote, like, how do they, so you have a lot of times with juried art exhibits, you'll have artists doing, like trained artists doing their thing, and then you'll have the community, and then you'll have both. So you have you have and the community award or whatever is. So I mean, I'm totally down for that.
I think that's a great idea. So if you don't mind, I think if we could have a motion to create like an ad hoc committee to just work on this. That way, we don't need to necessarily bring in the entire Mission Trail committee, but maybe we can start.
Yeah, no, that would be great. I mean, and again, I'm sad that Commissioner Chaparro isn't here because since we're going in that, I mean, if we were going to Franklin, I would just kind of. But since we're going in that direction, it almost, I mean, we have to have respect for that committee.
And I think we can start by reaching out to Commissioner Chaparro and the museum and setting up a call.
Yeah, got it. I think that would be wonderful. And I'd like to get it, in motion as soon as we can. So if they do it the first quarter, that'd be wonderful.
Yes, especially because as you know, the culmination of this is July 4th next year, right? So it would be really nice to get these awarded by like May before the kids go to break. And what we can do is have like the major display at Los Portales, and we can work out the details and maybe bring the finalists to the courthouse.
No, I mean, all of this would be great. And I'll be quite honest, how blunt I am, but it also would be a great thing, when we're doing the recap of this year, to count as one of these things, since you all haven't given me any big projects lately. And the more community involvement, the better. So, I mean, this actually checks all the boxes, plus makes me very happy.
Fort Bliss has a military children's art program.
Okay, well, we can reach out. We don't have to do, like I said, we don't have to do just one thing because, it's the 250 that's only going to come once in our lifetimes unless you all know something I don't know.
I will also say that our staff is working with El Paso County Parks because they host an annual event at Ascarate Park to hopefully enhance that in some way. And then also we are speaking to our volunteer coordinator because service is a big part of the America 250. So hopefully tying some service projects throughout next year to that as well. Okay. The other thing I would ask the commission to entertain, would you want to provide some sort of commemorative souvenir at one of these events? And it could be very limited. And I wish Commissioner Bear were here.
I know, because he knows so much about the
commemorations and coins. I know coins are something popular. If we can do the America 250 logo on one side and maybe something more local on the other side, and say to the first however many arrivals at either the Escada del Park, which is the Independence Day celebration, or a special one for the students. But if we print so many, and this becomes like a commemorative El Paso souvenir, and we're hoping to bring back your final budget numbers.
Yeah, no, I was gonna say, I was gonna bring that up in our thing. I mean, if we can digress a little bit towards that, because I was actually going to suggest that we look at something like that and figure out how much it's going to cost and how many we want. And honestly, I think we should have something really cool on the other side.
Okay.
So maybe, I mean, there's so many amazing El Paso artists. And I mean, yes, I think at this point we should get costs. I mean, just step A to me is get costs for however many, I'm just gonna throw out like 250, but I don't know.
250 would be cute.
But whatever, the numbers, so we can see what that is. And then second, just start thinking about like what we would want on the offers, because basically it is commemorative. And so we want something that really, that we're proud of, and that really says us, says us as El Paso. And so so I think that would take some discussion about.
So let's bring this part of the item back next month and talk about how we want what commemorative item the commission would like to
I do like the coin. I mean, but I mean, the paper kind of degrades. And I mean, what, t-shirts? Everybody has a million t-shirts and they just fade and you make them in a quilt or whatever. I mean, well, it's true. Come on. So I think that, if it's limited, and then just think about it, in 250 years, all these people are going to be scrounging to buy one on whatever eBay becomes back. You know what I mean? I mean, something that's that notable that lasts for a long time for the next celebration, they go back and go hey, 250 years ago, look at these cool things. Let's do it for our year.
I'm pretty sure we'll see them sooner on eBay. But what we can do is bring back some some ideas, and we can hash that out next time.
Absolutely.
But I think if you don't mind, we can move forward with the motion to form an ad hoc.
Oh yeah, no, I'll motion that.
Okay, so the motion will be to form an ad hoc committee to organize and plan the student art competition for the America 250. So motion by Commissioner Welch.
Second.
Second by Commissioner McDonald. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Awesome. Okay, and that takes us on to agenda item D. Discuss and take appropriate action to engage each CHC committee in a recruitment campaign. All right, let's run with that. Although sadly we don't have a significant number of our commission. So
we did reach out to each committee chair individually, and we received a response from all but two. So we can follow up with those two committees that didn't respond. But the idea is, in the past, we've talked about, and we're going to have an item on this too, I believe. So our next item, if you want to, can we take items D and E together?
I can read it in because I was actually going to.
Go ahead.
Can I read?
They're kind of related.
They are related. So related to agenda item D, we have agenda item E, discuss and take appropriate action regarding rescheduling or canceling of November 11th, 2025 CHC meeting due to a scheduled conflict with a federal holiday, which is Veterans Day.
So, because we're discussing possibly rescheduling the meeting for November, we asked the committee chairs, would you consider holding an in-person committee meeting October, November, so that we can, one, wrap up the year, and two, do a little bit of planning for next year in lieu of having the November meeting. And we typically don't meet in December, so you would have the 2-month holiday off. And because of the new requirements with TOMA, the requirements for posting the Texas Open Meetings Act, and the way the holidays fall this year, we may not meet in January. So the request, we'll bring that back to you, but we may need to do the same in January. So having a planning meeting and a wrap-up meeting to close out the year,
And I
we'll
think,
give a little break, but we will get some work done before.
yeah, and I'm going to say, I think that, I have nothing, against, canceling the November meeting, but I do think that we also need to go onward very, very forcefully with our committees, like the ad hoc committee, but all of the committees. We really need to be looking at, and I know, not everyone here is the head of a committee, but you all are part of the committee. We need to be looking at what funding we'd like for the new budget, what projects we want funded, okay? So, we all need to think about that, and you can bring them back to the committees that you're on, even if you're not a chair of that committee. But I think this is really important. I think we do need to, reach out and have more people because there aren't that many of us. And I really think I have nothing about, having a November commission meeting or not, totally fine. But we really have to stress that in lieu of possibly 3 commission meetings not happening, the work has to go onward, y'all. So we have to do it in committee. That's me.
Or, we can find another date to have the meeting in November. And then we can see how January will work out. We will bring that back to you next month.
Okay. So all of y'all, what do you all think? Commissioner Cano.
I was thinking about something else. Is there anything that's in our charter that says we absolutely positively will not have a December meeting?
No, it's just tradition. And the fact that,
But there's 2 months in a row we're not going to meet, right?
well, we might meet in November if we vote to try to change the
In
day.
January?
And again, we could vote to try to change the day on that also.
What's the problem with January?
So I don't want to get too into the weeds on that one because that's not how our agenda item is posted.
Yeah,
But I can bring that back to you next
next
month.
month.
But the problem is the way the holidays line up for the county and the requirements.
Posting.
And the requirements for posting.
I said totally.
Yeah, you looked.
Yeah, I looked.
She has a calendar in front of her now.
And before this recent legislature, right, like we had 48 hours, no, 72 hours up to the meeting time to present, right? So we're no longer able to do that. We have to post for 3 business days ahead of the meeting. So that also changes how it's just our internal deadlines and the reviews that we have to go through and then making sure that we can comply and meet that posting.
I still don't think that answers my question, but
Well, we're going to go on because this is a 2-part. One is mainly discussion only, which is item D, where we're discussing the approach, to basically just reaching out and saying, we need to meet, like you said, the work goes on. But E, we actually need to take a vote on whether we either want to totally cancel November or if we'd like to look for an alternative date. And so that would address yours, yes. Commissioner Cano.
Yes.
So, right now, we have not put a motion forward. So if there is a motion forward, if you would like to make a motion for an alternative date, then please do so, but give us the date right now so we can
I wouldn't know what date to propose.
Okay.
But I certainly can propose that we do change the date for November, can I?
Yes.
Yes. Is that possible?
Yes.
Okay.
So, and you're right, sir. Like you wouldn't know what date. So what we would do is make sure that we can have a place to meet and enough time to meet the posting requirements. Okay. And so next month we'll bring you that date and make sure that works with everybody. And we can send you an email too.
Okay.
So we can absolutely choose. You can absolutely choose to meet on a different day, not November 11th. In a different date in November. We can also bring an item to you next month if you'd like to decide to meet in December.
Okay. So Commissioner Cano, do you want to put a motion forward that we, in our next commission meeting, we look at an alternative date?
Yes, I would.
Okay.
this may or not be relevant to bring up at this point, but I mean, I'm quite concerned of the dwindling population of this body, number one, and the fact that traditionally, we used to have a retreat in summer. What happened to that? I mean, our meetings seem to be dwindling for reasons that we're not in control of. And I'd just like to reverse that trend.
Well, then we will have a motion that we take to, well, we're having a motion today that an agenda item on the October meeting will be to vote on an alternative date for the November meeting.
So if I may tweak that.
No, you go for it, because
I think you can motion to reschedule, not cancel, the November meeting, and staff will follow up on a date and place for that.
However you want to word it, it's, if it's appropriate with Commissioner Kanoff?
Yes, I'd like to make a motion to reschedule within the month of November, the November meeting.
Okay, all right, so you have the motion.
Okay, motion by Commissioner Kanoff, second by
Is there a
Commissioner
second?
McDonald. Commissioner McDonald, second.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes, and we will be getting back to you with that date in November.
Perfect. Okay, that takes us on.
We do need either a motion or a statement of no action.
Oh, on D, I'm sorry, on D, basically D was discussion only, no action taken.
Thank you, ma'am.
Okay, that brings us to agenda item F. Receive history, heritage, and historic preservation related announcements and upcoming events from the County Historical Commissioners. And in this case, Commissioner McKenzie, I'm going to start with you and go this direction.
Okay. I had, since our last meeting, I presented a program, a talk at old Lincoln days, and I was surprised to learn that the state of New Mexico actually owns 9 buildings within the town of Lincoln. And when they have this annual event, there are thousands of people that go there. And I think it's too bad that we have a lot of historic buildings in our valley here, and they're closed for one reason or many different reasons. And I think it's interesting that the state stepped in and picked up buildings, restored them, even a church. And so they do a lot, and every night they have the reenactment of Billy the Kid breaking out of jail. And so, and I told their visitor center people that he broke into the jail here, and they knew all about it. And we spoke, Cynthia and I spoke about something that could be printed or published here that could be distributed up there, because it does attract a lot of attention. And then last weekend I did a presentation on the military history at Fort Stanton, and they had 700 people, just 700 adults that paid $10 a person to attend that, and hundreds of kids that paid about half that much. And it was really a very big event. And I did a presentation, or a display and a presentation on military weapons. And so it was, it's something that maybe Fort Bliss could do to raise money or something. But another thing is there is a group of veterans, partly because Judge Samaniego declared El Paso County the Veterans Capital. And along with that, there is a group of veterans that's interested in forming a veterans military museum on the campus of the Northeast campus, next to the Flags Across America thing. A site was discussed there. And so they're working on that, and I told them that they should also consider the involvement in saving the Fort Bliss Museum so that it doesn't close according to the schedule.
There is no saving the Fort Bliss Museum. That's just the bottom line. But that does not mean there will not be an historic presence on Fort Bliss. But saving the museum, unless Congress steps in and changes the Army's mind, is a done deal.
So even if enough money was raised.
It doesn't matter about money. Money is not the issue.
Except for military history is just,
There
shut it
is,
down for sure.
The thing that could change it is if you had a foundation that was very well heeled, who would step in with congressional support and say, we'll build you a building, it'll be accessible off the installation, and the Army can do a public-private partnership with this.
Yes.
That's a huge undertaking.
Okay, but that
If I won
building
the
on
lottery,
campus
$450 million, I'd do it, but I'm not gonna win the lottery. So, the issue has got to be, if you're gonna save it, because the Army is keeping the museums open that are foundation funding.
right,
Off the installation so that the public doesn't have to come through the gates.
Right.
And it is supported in perpetuity, partially at least, by a foundation.
yes.
So you got the Infantry Foundation at Fort Benning, which is still in huge debt because they fouled up a lot of things. You've got the Army History Museum that's at Fort Belvoir. It's off post. You can access it from off post, but that's foundation funded. You have the Army Heritage and Education Center at Carlisle Barracks, Pennsylvania, which is, as far as I'm concerned, is off in the middle of Lower Slobovia because it's so hard to get there. You gotta fly into Harrisburg, you gotta drive there, but it's off the post. There are accessible, and that's the issue.
The exception is Fort Sill and Fort Rucker, because they have, those are training support facilities.
Yes.
And those are on base, but again, they don't get visitation.
Yes. Well, and I will tell you, Fort Sill was packed, Fort Rutgers Aviation Museum was packed the day I was there, and it was a weekday.
Yeah. So again, I hate to say it, but yeah, we're a lost cause.
Okay.
And
Never say never.
Yeah, never say
I know.
never.
But I have to operate that way because that's the only way I can operate. I can't operate.
Oh, no, of course,
You've got an SAS that's essentially told you, and it's the Army.
Yeah.
Decisions made,
Exactly.
fall in line, follow the decision.
I do have ideas. Unfortunately, I cannot discuss those ideas with
Okay.
anybody. You can,
I can't.
but I'm working on a scheme.
Okay,
We're not
good to
We're
know.
not even going to cease operations maybe by the end of 27. I don't know. CMH is not giving us any information. We're just like in a holding pattern until we run out of gas and then we crash and burn. So that's the world that I'm living in right now.
Last week I'm sorry.
No, it took
Last
a
week I
while.
attended the Medal of Honor Museum in Arlington, and it looks like about a $20 million project.
Yeah,
Did Congress fund that?
I have no idea.
Okay, we're getting off topic. We're getting off topic, y'all.
That's outside of my ballpark.
Yeah, so let's, okay, but this is something to think about because if it's 2027, and I know we're going actually over to John Hamilton next, but we have some time to actually, think about it too. So Commissioner Hamilton.
The County Historical Society lives. The renovation inside the Burgess House continues. They're taking it back to the way it really was you know, you walk into it before and it's this dark portrait.
Oh, it is, yeah, it is.
They're repainting it inside the way that it really originally looked when Miss Perrineau lived there.
Okay.
Yes, there were a lot of things that were sold. These were things that had no provenance, were not antiques or artifacts, and had really no business occupying space in the limited space that Burgess House has.
Sure.
So no, we didn't sell everybody's old stuff.
Yeah.
Although there was some old stuff that we knew that somebody had gave us, but we didn't remember who or when or how. So that stuff's gone. And we are doing considerable archival work, making sure that everything that we've got in that archive can be researched and brought up, and we know where it is, and we can pull it so a researcher can see it. I've just finished one project. I'm getting ready to move on to the Medal of Honor winner from here, William Dean Hawkins, Marine Corps vet, killed in action at Tarawa in 1943. And there is a substantial collection of documents that pertains to him. That's my next project.
Oh, cool. Okay. Well, if you ever have anything that might work for Casa Ronquillo that going up for sale in the future, contact the county before you sell it.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
I'm just saying if you do,
I'm with you.
You know, just because they do need, you know,
they need
age-appropriate fund or age-appropriate furnishings. Sorry. So,
that's it.
Cool. Commissioner Kennedy, welcome back.
Well, thank you. It's amazing to be here. I've just been so one-minded that it's nice to get back into things that really make my life worth living. And so thank you so much. But of course, I'm not active with Concordia, even though I'm a member of Concordia. But so I know there'll be things in October coming up. They're going to have their sundown walk on October 4th. And then they're going to have their Dia de los Muertos, the end of October, for some reason that I never could understand. But they are going to do it on the 25th. But coming up immediately next month, or this month, one of my historical groups, I found out that I'm a member of 10 different groups, all something to do with history and of this valley area. And so one that I support very, very heavily is called the El Paso Corral of the Westerners. And this is an international group that is set to preserve history. And especially we're all about preserving the Southwest history. And I am in charge of getting programs because I'm just so bossy, I can't sit down and shut up. And so our speaker for this month, on the 19th of September, on Friday, is none other than John Hamilton. Yes, and it's a really unique opportunity. We meet at the Golden Corral on North Mesa, over by Wrestler. I have no idea what that address is.
Yeah, it's just a
Redcon.
Yes.
Thank
you. Yes, and we have something. We try to start meeting and eating at 5:30, and then about 6:30 we kick off our meeting, and we start with really interesting Old West things. Our mascot is a buffalo by the name of Josephine. So we start off with a chant to honor Josephine, and then we break into Home on the Range singing, and so it's a wonderful group. We have something called Stump the Posse, and you bring items from the Old West to see if everybody who can figure out what they are. And you pay for your own meal. You go through the line and you pay for your meal. And we usually break up about 8 or a little after 8. It's just, and you dress Western if you can, if you want to, of course. We have a great time, and I have been the keeper of Josephine, the mascot, the buffalo head, for 25 years at least. And Mark Howe has graciously taken her home with him because I just didn't know where I was going to end up. But it's a wonderful And Marcus has said it is the real deal. So anyway, so John is going to be talking about, just a minute here. It's the Apache battle at Dog Canyon in 1859.
And I know something, we know something about it.
Yeah, and so I've been so excited to hear this. So cool. We have wonderful programs. We have women, we have women's things. We just really have a good time. We'd encourage
it's open to everybody?
Open to everyone. Okay. It's kind of sometimes tightly. I mean, it's sometimes, it's not a real, what do we want to say, Prince? The tables are close together.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sometimes, and we get to know each other really well.
This is an international organization.
Yes, it is.
There are chapters in many different countries and all across the U.S.
Yes, and it's been going for at least since the 50s, mid-1950s.
50 years ago, it was restricted to writers and historians.
And men, and only men.
And then
they got wise.
They
Just look at that.
And the organization really grew after that.
Yeah. And so we
probably prospered if you brought women in.
Yes.
That's what I was trying to say.
Yes, and we have for the in 2003 we won the Small Corral award throughout the international group for the best programs, and we have, and I was very excited about that. So I'm very careful about who I select as a speaker. One of my rules is I have to hear you speak first. And if you don't meet my criteria,
Come on, here I know his look.
he's
My name
done
is Captain
several.
Monotone.
Two of us are having a hoot over here.
The first woman accepted into the organization was the director of the Fort Bliss Museum.
Well,
And
okay.
several men quit after that.
Oh my
In
God.
response to
And
that.
about what year was that?
About 75,
Yeah,
74.
But it's a wonderful group, and we just have the best time learning and keeping alive Old West history.
Commissioner, Commissioner Kidney, if Commissioner Hamilton's talk is something you want us to help promote, if it's open, we're happy to do so. If it's closed,
No, it's open.
That would be so cool.
It's open.
if you want to send me the information, or if
I
you have
can't
a
say
digital,
my email is.
well, we wrote it down. We can follow up
Thank
with a
you.
phone call. If there's a digital graphic, we're happy to send it out too. If
We
there's
don't have-
not, we
we
can
have
just
nothing.
send out the information.
I don't have-
That'd be awesome. That'd be awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah, that'd be great, because there's such an interest. And then, I think, just a moment, let me get my stuff. I'd like to know more about donations needed for Casa Ronquillo, because I have a lot of things in my house.
Okay, we brought this up to the Mission Trail committee, but we'll bring it,
I'd like
an
to-
item next month.
Yeah, kind of let me know, because I'm moving toward, I'm trying to find a place.
She's divesting.
Downside.
That sounds.
I'm looking at trying to find, maybe to have an exhibit room in the Shamus house, some of my things. I have a lot of Spanish, I have a lot of Native American, I have a lot of everything.
We'll follow up.
Awesome. I don't have anything. I mean, I announced all the markers last time and they're going forward. So on to you, Commissioner McDonald.
Oh, thank you. One of the things we're doing is we're working on a exhibit featuring William Wallace Bliss Smith
Oh, cool.
that we are opening October 22nd. Because for part of the exhibit is Bliss's original coffin.
Oh yeah, you told. Oh, that was so creepy. Yeah. Wow.
So we're putting that on exhibit.
If you have like an infographic, we're happy to do some email blasts and share it with our contacts.
That would be good.
And you can tie it into Halloween and Dia de los Muertos because it's a coffin. in October.
I don't run the place.
Okay,
They just let me think.
just thinking, okay.
When you're in charge, take it.
Yeah, yes, I will do that. Also, even though we're limited in what we have to present, we're still pulling in over 2,000 soldiers and visitors a month.
That's great.
And we've just done, we host a multitude of events during the course of the month. And I may have a partial suit of Spanish armor that, but I'm not promising anything. But
I hear you have a cannon too. But we.
yeah, I don't, it's, you want to see a picture of it?
Yeah.
I got a picture of it.
I don't know if we want a cannon someplace that is also a community center with children around.
Well,
Teenagers, I'm thinking teenagers. Oh, in the book, right then and there.
Oh, very cool.
The thing about the cannon is that in 1849, when Van Horn populated Fort Bliss or founded Fort Bliss, he put a company of artillery down at the old Spanish Presidio in San Missouri.
Okay.
Very
And
cool.
that is the right period for that particular.
Yeah. So let's keep talking.
Yeah, I mean,
I gotta get rid of it. I'm just trying to figure out.
Can I see?
yeah, of course, I'm fascinated. Well, cool, well, y'all, you know, as stuff for Paso Ronquillo potentially comes up.
Oh, it's,
It's a 6-pounder.
yeah, it's a 6-pounder.
So it's not that
It's
heavy.
probably about, no, that's just a shot.
I know nothing about munitions, obviously. I'm just like, okay, so it's big.
Such a babe in there.
Okay, it's a cannon. A 6-pounder.
Yeah. So anyway, those are some of the things that I have that I'm gonna have to find homes for. But again, I don't run the place.
But just things to keep
Naomi
in mind.
does. I just want to think I'm in charge.
Things to keep in mind.
But yeah, we're not comfortable giving them to individuals, but we can give them, and this is down the road. This is not immediate.
Yeah.
Is not.
Yeah, we'll just keep it, keep that in the back of your mind as it comes up, everybody. I mean, always, since, that's, Paso Ronquillo's pretty much together. So Commissioner, anything else?
No.
Okay.
I got a mountain cannon too.
Is it heavier than 6 pounds? Okay, Commissioner Kanoff.
I have nothing immediate, although I've been thinking seriously over recent months about the legacy of this group. And I think we should all be thinking about recruiting to this body, about, looking around for those that we think that would be great additions to our body. I've run across an individual I've seen on Facebook whose last name is Lara, L-A-R-A, and man, he'd be great. So he does these historical.
Oh, Caleb.
It's Caleb Lara. I mean, what a great, he makes these great presentations. He has a public relations firm.
Yes.
And man, he knows so much about El Paso history and does tutorials on Facebook about it.
Yes.
I think he'd be a great addition. There are just people like that we may encounter during our month, when it comes time to replenish the commission. I mean, many of us have been on the commission long enough to remember when it has dwindled to half the size it once was. And that's very
Almost a
troubling.
third,
Or
actually.
a third the size that it once was. And that's very troubling to me personally. And I'd like to see that trend reversed. That's it.
Thank you, sir. And then I have one more thing. I had the opportunity to visit the Farm and Ranch Museum in Las Cruces. I said, I've been so bound down, and so I said, I've got to see it. I've just got to. So a friend and I went over Labor Day, and they have wonderful exhibits, and they start with the Native Americans, and these are structures you can enter and look through, and the Spanish, early Spanish colonial things that from 1800s on. These are just really wonderful exhibits, very inexpensive. And I have, in all of my years of living here, I've always taken my visitors to that museum, primo, over as much as I love what we have here. It's so easy to access, it's so well done, it's so nonsensical, and it's inexpensive. It has always been something that really covers the history of this area. It's marvelous. I just can't tell you enough how wonderful it is. They had an exhibit, two new exhibits. One particularly was about Billy the Kid and the cattle, the beginning of the cattle industry and all of that in New Mexico, and tied in with Lincoln County. And of course, I know that history so well, but still, it's just amazing. And many of the things that I have had to say goodbye to in my house, I'm recognizing, wasn't such a fuddy-duddy after all. It's what my kids thought, but
Okay, can I say something?
wonderful. It's a wonderful thing to
Okay,
visit.
but be brief, but okay.
The Border Regional Library Association is having an exhibition, the Border Regional, at the Farm and Ranch Museum on the 18th of October. And in the past, Court Bliss has had set up an exhibit there. And it would be nice if we had an exhibit representing the Mission Trail, representing Casa Ranquillo. And we've tried to find a venue here in El Paso. The original concept is to have every year one in
back and forth.
Las Cruces and El Paso, but we have failed in the last 3 years to find an El Paso venue. But anyway, any organization is willing to, that is interested, can participate.
I went last year for the first time, and I was blown away. It just met all of my criteria for all of this stuff. Wonderful. If you can participate as an exhibitor, that's one thing. If you can just go and support it.
Well, that behooves us to find a space for here next year.
Right? Yeah, Prince tried very hard, I know.
And I
Not too late to apply.
believe last year Los Portales participated. I think they're planning to participate again this year. We'll follow up with them. If the Historical Commission would like to participate, then we would need folks to man your table, but we would be happy to do a setup, take some brochures out there. It's really up to this commission. I don't know that we'll be in time to bring it back to you
Yeah.
next month, but let's make
That's
it
an
fun
idea
next
for
year.
next year,
Yeah,
because
sure.
it's,
I think it's
you
really
get a
an
lot
idea
of
for next year
traffic.
to find a space here in El Paso, where it should be.
but also there are people who are historically interested. New Mexico, it's southern New Mexico. Well, all of New Mexico's participated last year, and everything. We had a lot of El Paso groups, so it's great. You really should mark it on your calendar.
Okay, cool.
Thank you, Prince.
All right, well then, I think that kind of wraps up item F, discussion only, no action taken, which takes us to item G, receive updates from El Paso County staff on heritage tourism, historic preservation, and economic development.
So we're going to be super brief because we do have an exact item on the agenda today.
Yeah, I was so confused, but okay.
And so really quick, one of the reasons we invited Dr. Leyva to come speak to you about Dia de los Muertos is that our Heritage Tourism Division is collaborating with our Binational Affairs Division and hopefully the Mexican Consulate to bring an exhibit to the courthouse the first week of November. As soon as we finalize those details, we will bring them back to the commission so that you're aware and so that you're, of course, welcome to participate. And so that was the connection. We also and invited the city of Socorro to come give a presentation and an update on Rio Vista. And so we hope that they will be here next month.
Okay, cool.
And then we have ongoing Mission Trail tours via our partnership with Destination El Paso. And on September 20th, they will have the Chamizal Cultural Experience, which we will share with all of you. It's an event happening at the Chamizal National Park.
All right, any questions? All right, well, if there's.
Sorry, let me clarify. So just
Can you step out for a minute?
Yeah.
Sure, but they gotta be quick.
We have to take a.
Because we'll lose four. Yeah, let's take a vote for, this one no, okay, discussion only, no action taken. Taking a brief break because we're gonna lose quorum. So we'll be back in 5 minutes.
Yes.
We're going to recess. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Sorry.
And then just note the time, please, Commissioner.
Okay, got it.
Okay, we're back.
All right, we have re-achieved quorum, so we are back in session. It is now 5:32 p.m. And that is going to take us to agenda item 7, which is executive session. And I will defer to the presenters.
Thank you. So do we read this? So pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.071, discuss legal rights and the County Historical Commission will now adjourn into executive session.
Yes, go ahead.
Okay, we have now returned to our official session.
At 5:47.
Okay, at 5:47. And right now, the only thing is, do we have a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Motion to adjourn from Commissioner Hamilton, second by Commissioner McDonald. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
Meeting adjourned at 5:47.